And we're live. Welcome to the Tesla Talks podcast, folks. The first episode for the month of July. This is week 1 of July 2020. And welcome to the podcast, folks. Welcome one of my good buddies, Paul, Tesla Canuck. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. It's been a few weeks since you've been on, so thanks for gracing us with your presence.
Well, thanks for having me.
No problem. It's been we have one more guest, the other staple of Tesla Talks podcast, Mother Frunker. He's just running a little bit behind, so hopefully he can join us soon and just jump in. But you know, buddy, it's the two of us. We can handle this on our own, can't we?
I think we can carry the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can do all the heavy lifting. We love when Franklin comes and we love when special guests come, but if it's just the two of us, or hey, folks, if next week it's just me by myself, we can do this. Many podcasters do just solo podcasts and just interact with the audience and stuff like that when they do it live. So hey, we can do it too.
Well, without Mother Funker, I've got no one to disagree with me though.
Oh, you know what?
Problematic.
I'll put on two different hats and I will play the role of
devil's advocate. Just do it.
Or I'll play the role of Franklin every now and then, just to spice things up. You know, what do they call that? It's just like fake news or something like that. I just do it just for the ratings.
I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But before we start, too, I just wanted to say, a happy belated Canada Day to my peeps in Canada there, and. Happy 4th of July, coming up for my American friends. Stay safe, people.
Yes, please. Whether you're listening from the U.S. or listening here at home in Canada, we had our birthday yesterday. What was it, 153? 152?
I don't know.
I think it's 153. People at home, if I'm wrong, you'll let me know. But yeah, people all around the world, whatever holiday you're celebrating coming up soon, be safe with everything going on in the world, the pandemic and everything. Just all we ask is for everyone to please be safe out there. The numbers, we won't go off on this tangent, but let's just say the numbers.
No, we're going to talk about Tesla numbers today.
Yes, the Tesla numbers. Not COVID numbers. Tesla numbers, the numbers that we actually want to see go up. That's, buddy, that's an awesome segue. I love that. Thanks. The numbers we want to see go up are actually here. And let me, as we talk about this, let me see if I can pull up the tab. I guess the numbers came out yesterday or today. I think it might have been today. Yes, today.
I read it today, so.
Yep, it must have came out today. Like, what are the chances it came out yesterday? Like, I don't think it's ever come out on the very first day of the new quarter.
Someone's going to tell us, okay, like immediately, that, hey, guys, it was yesterday.
True. Christian Federico says hi. He's live in the Facebook chat, so you can listen or watch us live, folks. If you're watching right now, thanks for joining us. But you can also catch us on the podcast on TuneIn and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to it any other time, or you can catch the video on YouTube at any later time too. Just saying hi to Christian there. But getting back to the numbers, the Q2 delivery numbers. Now, I will ask. Yeah, I was going to say I'll ask you, Paul, because I've got your ear right now, or anyone else.
No one else to ask.
Anyone else watching live or listening live. Were you surprised by these numbers? 90,650 cars delivered.
Not only was I surprised, I mean, I was floored. I did read the electric article the other day prior to the release of these numbers. So I know that Fred was optimistic. Can we say Fred on this podcast? Yeah, I think we can.
Yep.
Yes.
The other F word. Yeah, you can say Fred.
But yeah, it was totally floored, man. Like, Fremont was closed for half the quarter at least, right?
Yeah.
So this to me is really incredible. I don't know how they ramped up production that much, or what factor the China Gigafactory played in these numbers. I don't know if they've been broken down yet.
I don't know. You know what? No, the only thing that they broke down, well, I'll give you the numbers right here. Production of Model S and X, 6,326. Delivered, 10,600. So as you can see, they had some in the pipeline already produced, produced, but not delivered from Q1 for Model S and X. Model 3 and Model Y, which is no surprise, that's where it comes the bulk of Tesla sales now. 3 and Y production 75,946, so almost 76,000 produced, and delivered 80,050. So once again, you have about 4,000 in the pipelines that were made in Q1 and delivered. So a total altogether production of all their cars, S, X, 3 and Y, was 82,272 production, and they delivered 90,650. So just over 8,000 were in the pipeline there. So that means, I guess they couldn't get them delivered in time or something like that.
They have pretty strict rules or conservative rules about when a vehicle is sold through. So my guess is that those vehicles weren't sold through in time the previous quarter. But let's kind of focus back on what they did produce, because that here to me is the story about how they produce this many vehicles with the Fremont plant being closed for half the quarter.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really interested to see if we'll get a breakdown of that number in terms of how many were produced at the China Gigafactory, because this is, this blows away the analyst estimates, which were about 70,000 just a few weeks ago, right?
Yep.
In terms of how many cars Tesla would produce. Matter of fact, that might have even been the sold through number, 70,000. So this is exceptional performance. And if you're a Tesla shareholder, full disclosure, I am not, because I'm an idiot.
Me too.
But
idiot over here.
Okay, so you got two idiot clowns here from Canada who did not buy any stock. And for those of you who did, have a party, man. This is going to be a fantastic time for you guys, and enjoy.
Yeah. Christian in the chat is saying China produced about 35,000 of those.
Oh wow! Fantastic.
Yep. Thanks for chiming in on that. I don't know if that's just your estimation or you heard that from somewhere, but thanks. I'll take you at your word. Looking at electrics, all these numbers are coming from electric. They're coming from Tesla, but electrics is what I have up on the screen for the article. So basically, they delivered 90,000 cars. They're up 5% year over year, because last year is up quarter to quarter. They did 88,000 during last quarter. So they're down five. I completely butchered that. Right. They're down 5% year over year, which it's mind-boggling.
That's a good number. In my mind, given what happened.
There was a pandemic, a global pandemic.
There is a pandemic.
I know I'm talking in past tense. There is, and the factory, like you said, which produces the majority of their cars, was closed for half of the quarter, and they still managed to chug those numbers out, which it's unbelievable. Now, I guess we have to wait for the earnings call later on in this quarter, I guess. And then we'll get to see the numbers, but just the production numbers and the delivery numbers are amazing.
Well, Fred's on a roll, right? So he seems to think that break even is possible. He seems to be in the know. I mean, he nailed those, that production estimate, over and above what the analysts were able to predict. So you got to like Fred's point of view right now. So if he thinks that it's going to be break even, there's probably a good chance.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, Fred's in the know. Ryan Wins is in the chat, and he says their target this year is 500,000. Now, I don't know if he's talking about overall. Or
it's overall.
Overall. Okay, I didn't know if he was talking about China, because he mentioned something about it. But Rob Spreitzer, a buddy of mine, brings up a good point. What did it do to the stock today? Because you touched a little bit about the stock earlier. It went up, if I remember correctly, about 10%, 8%. It's basically.
I think it was 9%. Yeah, 9%. Somewhere in that number.
So I say 8 or 10, and you say 9. Okay, so that's perfect. We're on the same page. Yes. Let me take down Ryan's picture here so we don't lose viewers. So
Holy crap!
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, you're right. 7.95%.
so did it close at 1200 or 1100?
1208.66.
So wow, 1200. And now I briefly saw, and I forget who it was, in my travels today. I saw some stock analyst or some company or corporation or analyst is now saying Tesla's gonna go over to the 2000 mark, over 2000 mark per share. So
you know why I'm confident that's going to happen?
Because it's already 1200.
No, because I don't own any shares.
Yeah, I know.
If I own shares, look out, people. I mean, it'd be going the other direction. But because I don't own any, you're in good shape. That's, believe me.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Rob's also saying get in before S&P inclusion. I mean, this is all stock nerdy stuff. I don't know. Not calling you a nerd, Rob, or anything, but I don't know how that kind of stuff works. So, from what I've heard, it's a positive thing. Is it a long-term positive thing or a short-term positive thing? Who knows?
Well, I think
one of these days, got to get an expert on.
I think it's long-term positive because I still don't see the competition on the horizon. I really don't. I know there's other EVs out there, but they just can't match what Tesla's able to offer.
No,
they can't.
That Nikola company is supposed to be really good.
Oh, yeah, vaporware. You gotta love vaporware. You know, when you announce something, but you haven't actually made one, not even a prototype. And I'm not knocking it. I mean, more EVs, the better, right? But at least when you announce something, have something to show.
Exactly.
You don't have a good track record, right?
No. You know what? We could do a whole episode on Nikola. It's funny. I was away for the weekend last weekend with some friends, and my buddy brought up Nikola. He said, "Oh, they're supposed to be doing pretty good with this Badger coming out." I'm like, "Buddy, I can't get into the details because I don't know. I'm not an expert." But I said, from what I've read, I said, "Stay away from that. Stay far away. Don't invest. You'll lose your shirt." Well, he was like, "Really? You think so?" And I said, "Buddy." And then he started talking about how they were leaders in hydrogen. I'm like, "Yeah, that should tell you a lot. Hydrogen is where's hydrogen now?"
Well, their stock has been on a tear. I mean, in fairness, and I don't know how much is based on the fundamentals. I doubt very much of that actually is based on the fundamentals. I think right now there's a little bit of hype around not just Nikola, but other companies that are doing the hydrogen hybrid stuff. I think Ballard Systems, some other companies that are seeing a huge bump lately. So I read an article about it, but I don't remember in the article, the why part, because I do know that hydrogen has not fared well if you look at consumer vehicles, but there could be an edge case for it that's not consumer, right? So maybe it works in a transportation industry, for example, but it doesn't really work for consumers. So we'll see. Until Nikola actually has something that they've built and they're going to have shipped, I'm really skeptical about their consumer product.
Me too. I agree. I like to see them roll something out on a stage, like not by 4 people pushing it either. Like, we've got a lot of
the Flintstones. Remember the Flintstones?
They're inside pedaling. We've got a lot of people in the chat room, which is great. Like Christian, I just put his up there. Yeah, it's talking about the stocks and S&P inclusion and stuff like that. How he says it's going to be valued at 20%. Raymond's and Rob are chiming in, and Ryan's talking about NKLA. I have no idea what this is, guys, but I take everything you say at face value because you got to know because I don't. So thanks for letting us know that. I have no idea, but I'll take your word for it. But anyways, let's get back to the numbers. Yes. What I should have done, and anyone that watches or listens to this podcast on a regular basis knows that I do the utmost amount of research before this show airs just to get my stuff in order. And then when I tell you that I have no idea about what the competition or other manufacturers did, then you'll know that I'm making that up completely when I say I do research it. Because what I should have done is I should have got the numbers for the other manufacturers and see what like GM or Ford or
they're down 30%. Toyota. My understanding is that the automobile industry as a whole is down about 30% on deliveries, is what I read.
30%.
30%, and Tesla's down 5%.
Wow.
So it doesn't take a genius to
Yeah,
figure
do
out
the
what's
math.
going on here, right?
Do the math. Okay, see, 30%, I'm actually quite shocked by the number. I thought it would have been a little higher, but, you know, who knows?
That's pretty devastating.
Oh, it is. Don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
it's a bad number. If
It's a
you were
bad
a
number.
CEO of any of those companies, yeah, you'd be like thinking, yeah, 30% is not bad. Well, yeah, they're not sleeping too well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't imagine, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but here's let's do a little segue. Now,
Okay.
it's great that Tesla did all these numbers and pushed out all these cars, and a good portion of those were Model Ys.
Mm-hmm.
But it came at a cost. I think it came.
I think it did.
I think it came at a big cost. And this is our next article by Inside EVs, and one of my buddies, Ryan Shaw, shows this video right here. But anyways, it's basically talking about delivery and production issues with the Model Y. How the Model Y. Now, I don't want to turn the show into negative, but I want to, let everyone know that we can love Tesla. We can all be fanboys, but we could sit back and say when we see something that isn't right and call it out, right? I mean, like I said, it's not a bash session here.
If you don't do that, Dax, I think you lose your credibility, in my opinion, right?
Oh, so, exactly. Yeah.
It's like I said many times in a lot of my videos when I'm about to say something that is, critical of what Tesla is doing, right? I always say it's not always sunshine and roses, right?
No.
There are some things that are challenges that need to be dealt with, and I don't know how necessarily Ryan did this. I'm behind on my YouTube videos. I haven't actually seen his video yet, but I've seen a lot of others on the on the Model Y issues. And if people don't raise these issues, then perhaps they're not going to get fixed because people won't realize that buyers are having these problems, right? So they're just busy churning out cars.
Yeah,
right?
they're busy churning out cars, but at the expense of, in my opinion, putting out and it's not. Let's get this straight. It's like anything else in life where the squeaky wheel gets the grease, whereas we never talk about the positives as much as we talk about the negatives. So maybe this is why maybe some of the negatives are rising above the majority of positive things. So maybe it's one of those scenarios, but they're churning in, from what I've seen, and I like to think that I can. Well, I did a video, but some people might say, "Oh, well, you saw one or you saw two." But yeah, okay, I saw two. Granted, it wasn't like dozens that I saw or hundreds that I saw. Yeah, I saw two, but the way I look at it is I saw two out of just a random amount, and maybe some people can say, "Oh, well, we're sending Canada all the crappy ones." Maybe they are. Who knows, right? But I saw two that
we don't complain as much. We're very docile.
Exactly. Yeah, we're the sorry nation, right? We're always sorry and apologetic, and we'll take it. That aside, I know that's not true, but
we can be feisty.
Yeah. If anyone hears my doorbell going off in the background, just ignore it, like I am doing. This is live. No, what I was saying is you can put out as many cars as you want. That's great, but you have to have the quality, and especially when you're buying here in Canada, and I forget what the States price is, but here in Canada it's like upwards of $80,000. When you're dishing out $80,000 for a car, and you're getting charge ports that are like lifting above that shouldn't be and should be flush, and when you're seeing and let me say, but from the very beginning, is what I should have said. I'm not a door panel or a panel gap guy. Like before Tesla and people started complaining about panel gaps, I couldn't tell you what a definition of a panel gap was. I didn't know. I learned it from being in the Tesla environment and community. I didn't know. But so I'm not big on panel gaps. Like I'm sure my car, I don't even know it. So I'm sure if I went out and looked at it, or so I got some expert to look at it, like Sandy Monroe, that he'd walk around and show me panel gaps on my car. I've had it for 2 years and it doesn't bother me if I did. So what I'm saying is, for me to notice these things on the Y, which is the brand new car that a customer just paid 80 grand for, and other things. It's not just take panel. You know, I mentioned panel gaps, but take them out of the equation. Put them aside for a second. Like little things that that I didn't even film when I did that video.
Yeah.
I didn't even film. There was just stuff that was like down at the bottom of one of the doors. There was like a rough patch of metal, and I'm like, okay, well, that's just the paint that dripped, and they didn't, or the clear coat that dripped, and they didn't polish it properly, or didn't wipe up the excess or something like that. And my friend that owns that detailing shop, he's like, no, that's the metal. It wasn't the paint; it was the metal. And for me to explain it, I know it's not coming across properly. You'd have to see it. When I saw it, I just put my finger beside it. It was rough, and like they're putting that kind of stuff out, and different things like in Ryan's video. I think Ryan, the reason, I know you said you didn't see it, Paul. The reason Ryan made these videos is because he's been, I think as of this video, he was the second or third appointment he'd made for them to fix different trim things, the back seat not being even and level, and some of the things, because, and I get it, to Tesla's point, I get it, they couldn't fix because the car is so new and they're still like working out kinks, so I get it. And you know, maybe one argument could be said, and tell me if you agree with this, Paul, that because it's a new car, it's a new production year, it's very well known in the automotive industry, never buy the first production year, because all manufacturers have to iron out little wrinkles and kinks and stuff like that in all their new production. So you're almost, if you take a chance, you get what you take, or you deserve what you get. Do you subscribe to that?
You know, yes and no. I mean, I think, you know, back to the panel gaps and quality issues. If you look back at the 70s and 80s, right, and the early 90s too, I mean, you know, it was horrific what was coming out of these automobile manufacturing plants. I think that for the most part, the companies that have been making cars for a long time have kind of figured that out, right? And I think because Tesla being, you know, let's be honest, a relatively new automobile manufacturer, they're actually a tech company. You know, I don't even call them an automobile manufacturer. And if you look at what people are, you know, typically call the triple constraint, right? So you've got cost, you've got quality, and you've got time, right? So I think that these are conscious decisions that Tesla is making around the boardroom, right? So time is probably their number one you know, concern, getting these vehicles out there, and then quality and cost. Probably cost is number two, and you know, quality is number three, and that's why I think that you're seeing some of these examples. They just, you know, they're going to figure it out, but right now, it's, if you look at the triple constraint, it's not their highest priority. That's my personal opinion of it.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Well, it certainly doesn't look like it's their highest priority, but Elon did put out an email to all his employees last week or the week before, talking about that exact same thing, talking about quality issues and how they have to tighten their belt. My words, not his. In the email, and it was a leaked email. I think Elon knows any email he puts out there now is going to be leaked. So I'm sure he words it. He's not a stupid man, as we all know. He words it knowing that it's going to be leaked, and he can. You know, that's how, I guess, how you can control what's leaked too, right?
Yeah. Well, do you remember when the Model 3 first came out, right? And they were producing them in their temporary, like, tent assembly line, right? And my understanding is the same thing is going on with the Model Y, where they're being produced in some temporary assembly line, you know, under a tent somewhere. And if you think back, right, when the Model 3 launched, I mean, it was very similar. And I think some of the issues back then were that some of the parts were being assembled by hand, right, like versus a robot. And there was an article actually this past week about this very thing, where Tesla needs to get to the point where it's automating more of this manufacturing to deliver, I think, predictable and higher levels of quality, right? That's my personal belief.
You know, you're right. You're right. It is. Rob, Rob in the chat's talking about where is it here? Yeah, right here. Talking about the design with the Model Y and how he's saying issues and production issues aside and delivery issues aside, he's saying his best advice for new Model Y owners is to PPF wrap the rear doors, and it's true. When I was looking at it, and it's so when I went to pick up my car. Where I saw it was at a detailing shop where I go to, and I went to pick it up yesterday. I was showing my wife it for the first time, and I was showing her it, and she was like, "Wow, it looks so much like the 3, just bigger." And that's exactly it. But one of the characteristics that I found that no one really talked about, actually, I shouldn't say nobody. Who was it? It was a YouTuber, and I apologize. I'm about to plagiarize you, and I can't remember your name right now. A big YouTuber was talking about it, how the difference was in the back end, the back wheel wells for the rear wheels. It flares out more so on the Y than the 3. And they were saying how that's gonna get the brunt of a lot of rock chips and stones and stuff like that flying up, just like what Rob's saying there. And that's going to need to have some kind of protection. Also, the front wheel well, where it ends before the front door starts, on the Y is designed differently too than the 3. It sort of comes down and out, which exposes the front wheel a little more, allowing more of the rocks and stuff like that, or maybe in the wintertime, sand or salt to kick up onto the rocker panels into the back. So, yeah, I completely agree with Rob. You're going to have to find a way to PPF that. And I've noticed a lot of manufacturers now that have that flare out on the back wheel well. They from the factory, they'll put a little triangular strip of PPF like on the car. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I have not seen that.
Yeah, no, a lot of manufacturers do that now. You know what? It's one of those things where I can see Tesla down the road will end up having to do something like that too.
Well, they sell that kit, right? And maybe they should be applying that kit before they deliver.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Once again, the argument is there. You're spending $80,000. I keep saying 80. And these are Canadian prices, folks. Let's say $55,000 American. Yeah. You're spending for $55,000 for a car. Should you really have to go back and spend another $50 for a kit, or the argument is, should that be included? Just food for thought, you know what I mean? So once again, like I said at the beginning, I don't want to make it sound like the model that we're like putting down a Model Y, or we're talking crap about it. It's the best.
It's a game changer.
Oh, of course.
Let's be honest, right?
And like a lot of experts have said, and like Elon has said, it will be right now, maybe before the Cybertruck, it will be the biggest seller Tesla out there.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Make no doubt about it. When the SR version comes out, when the 7-seater comes out, it will be. I mean, it is already, right? If they could, and this, I don't want to go off on a tangent like I usually do, but
that's okay.
Some people talked about in the last few weeks that there's some demand issues or demand problems for the Model Y with the pandemic and everything. There isn't. If they had,
doesn't look like it,
if they can sell everything that they produce, if they could produce more, they would sell them. So there's not going to be no issue there.
Do you know, or maybe someone viewing this might know, but what are the VIN numbers up to on the Y? Last I heard it was 15,000.
Well, the one of the two that I had in my video last week was near around, I don't want to give out, I saw the VIN number, I don't even memorize the specific VIN number, but it was in the 15,000. And the other white one was around the 12 or 13,000. But that was last week up here in Canada. So what they're probably putting out the door right now, today, July 2nd, could be what? 20, 25? Yeah. Who knows?
I think by the time, they hit 30, 40, I think they're going to hit their stride right?
Yeah,
And
just like the 3.
Ryan's 3, I think, was a very early. I wouldn't be surprised if his VIN's like sub 1,000. He was one of the first, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? And that happens, right? I mean, but
Right.
I mean, and you can't compare them both. I mean, I'm looking at mine. Mine was 28,000 when I got my 3,
Yeah.
and I didn't see any issues with it. Not the same kind of issues that are coming out with the Y. But at the same time, we didn't have a pandemic where we had to try to get the numbers up for Q2.
Yeah.
Was it Q2? It was
Yeah.
Q2. Yeah, it was Q2 2018 that I got my car. So, I mean, they're completely different animals as much as they look alike and everything. They're completely different animals. You can't compare 2018 VIN numbers to 2020 VIN numbers. It's just unfair to Tesla to do that. But like I said, it's not about bashing Tesla or anything, but it's calling a spade a spade. But it is the best car out there. Like, I mean, hands down, if I could get one. Okay, here's my question to you, Paul, or question
Yes.
to all the people that are listening or live now. If you could get one tomorrow, money aside and everything, knowing the potential of a production issue that you could get, like a bad whatever, would you get one? Or would you wait? Or okay, no, not if you would wait. Would you just get one in general?
I'd absolutely get a Y, and that we've been shopping around our Model X, so I'm ready to pull the trigger on a Y. I just I need to get a reasonable offer on my Model X first.
Yeah,
So
I
far I
don't
haven't. I don't know if that's COVID related, but yeah, I'd buy now. I wouldn't have bought 2 months ago. I would want to wait a little bit for them to get some of these little issues out of the way, and hopefully they have.
And don't get me wrong, we're going to move off this topic in a second. I don't want to dwell on this too long. Don't get me wrong, all these issues that we're talking about are fixable.
Yeah, it's pretty minor when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the experience, the software and everything, the drive, the battery, like the important things, in my opinion, are all still there and all work great. It's just the minor things that you would have to take back into service. And that's where some people would say, well, I paid $80,000 or $55,000 US for it. I shouldn't have to take it back in there. But trust me, you think other manufacturers like Mercedes and BMWs and Jaguars and Audis don't have these issues from time to time? I guarantee you, especially with a new model, I'm sure they do. We just don't hear about it because Tesla enthusiasts are a particular type. And that's not throwing stones or anything. I'm one of them, right? I can be particular.
But I think it's gone mainstream too. Like it's not a bunch of Tesla fanboys out there buying Tesla cars. I mean, obviously there's some, but it's well beyond that now. If you look at the numbers, it's mainstream people that are just looking for a vehicle and deciding to buy a Tesla. But I do want to talk about one last thing on this topic, right? And that's the JD Power thing from, I think it was last week when that came out. Right. And, and I agree. I mean, I read many articles about it, and how they measure that hasn't changed, I think, in a number of years, if I recall the article correctly, like 30 years or something. And with Tesla, you're buying more than just a car, right? You are buying an experience. I truly believe this. Right, you're buying technology that you won't find in any other vehicle at that price point or at any price point, right? So you have to factor that in terms of the owner's overall satisfaction about Tesla, right? It's not necessarily about a door panel gap here that might be somewhat minor, or the entertainment unit is too complicated for you to use or something like that, right? Like this is 2020, this is a new breed of experience, and that's what it is. And I think it needs to be measured differently, personally.
Yeah, and like you said, JD Power doesn't measure that, right? No, they measure one thing and one thing only. And then we can talk about how some people were saying that you have to support or be a member or give some kind of monetary.
It's an old boy network, if you ask me.
Yeah, a club that if you don't belong to anyway. Yeah. Anyways, Jose S said he got his Y this past Tuesday, and his VIN was 17,000.
Oh wow!
Okay. Now, can I, if Jose's still there, chime in? do you have any issues, any glaring issues, or were they all minor? Or did you have any issues? Do you have any complaints about the car, Jose? I'm not going to wait for him right now to talk to us, but I'll just say, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, I'm glad you brought up that JD Power because I was going to bring that up. But let's move on. Like I said, we in a few months, if not a few weeks, maybe this quality issue, production issue will be a thing of the past, and we won't even we'll, you know what I mean? We'll be talking about something completely different.
It will be, and you know how I know? Just sorry, I know we're going to move on, but just very quickly.
How do you know?
When I was in for my hardware 3 upgrade, I had for the Model 3, I had another Model 3 loaner, which had a VIN number of like 150, 60,000, whatever it was, and man, I didn't see any gap issues. Like I went over it with a fine-tooth comb. So I guarantee you, they're going to fix these little issues, and they're going to pump out some extraordinary cars going forward. No doubt about it.
Yep. Jose answered us. He said, trim issues on passenger side, no gap issues. Awesome. So
that's really great, man. Awesome.
Yeah, that's good to know. And just like we said, moving on.
Yes.
This is big news. This came out. I woke up this morning and heard about this. So Elon in his midnight Twitter session must have been very active. This article is brought to you by Tasmanian. They put out some great stuff. I mean, everyone, all the I guess, what do you call them? News places picked up on this because they're talking about the Autopilot rewrite and some of the upcoming features. And we all knew that it was coming. We all knew that it was in the works. I shouldn't say we knew it was coming. We knew that it was in the works, but we didn't have like a time frame or an estimate or something like that. But I guess late last night, some guy named Hold Mars at Hold Mars blog on Twitter said, hey, how's Autopilot rewrite going? You guys calling it Plaidnet? I didn't even see that part. So Elon responds, going well. The team is kicking ass and it's over. And it's an honor to work with them. Pretty much everything had to be rewritten, including our labeling software. So that's it's fundamentally 3D. That's I don't know. He put in 3D in quotes for some reason. Every step from training through interference. So I don't get that last part. But basically, he's saying everything had to be rewritten. It sounds like from the ground up. So they're kicking it out, and that was fine. He's saying that he's going good, and team's doing good. So a follow-up question was made by Tesla owners East Bay, and he said, any update on reverse summon? Like, they weren't even asking about, I guess, the rewrite. They're just asking for that. And Elon responds to that. And this is all in the same vein and in the same conversation. He said, a lot of functionality will happen all at once when we see transitions to the new software stack. Most likely, it will be releasable in 2 to 4 months. Now, let me stop there. He wrote more, but let me stop there and let's analyze that for a second. Paul, I'm going to ask you a question. You know Elon's timeline, right?
Yes, I do.
I know Elon's timeline, and when he says 2 to 4 months, take it. Okay, you know what? Let's just double it. So go ahead.
Before you go there, right?
Yep.
in fairness, his timelines have improved.
Getting better.
Huge. Okay, so I really, when I look at that number, I don't automatically think double anymore. I think that it's getting better in terms of his predictions. But let's pause for a moment because I just want to talk about what makes Tesla different as a company, because this is a really great example. So imagine you're any other company and you invested all this money into the software system, and then you realize that it's not really going to work and get you to where you want to be, right? Yep. So a lot of companies would, we made this huge investments. We're just going to muddle our way through and patch here and there and that kind of stuff, and just create problems down the road. What does Tesla do? They throw it out and they rewrite it, right? And that is a very amazing sign of an innovative company that's willing to do that. And fail fast is what some people might call it, right? That's what Tesla does, and that's why they're going to be the leader. No other car company is doing this type of thing, right? They can't even write their own code.
No, can you know you know what? I never thought of it, but you're absolutely right. And this isn't to blow sunshine up your ass. I'm just saying you're absolutely right because thinking about it, yeah. Can you imagine a CEO, the Ford CEO, on a Monday morning boardroom meeting, saying that we have to, and one of his people from one of the teams comes in and says we need to rewrite our software and go in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how that conversation would go?
It would not go well.
No, it would not. I can guarantee it wouldn't go well. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. For them, the innovation that they do, and might I even say bravery, to sound corny, bravery that they have to endure to say, you know what, this isn't right. We need to do this to get to where we want to go. So we're going to push what we've been working on for the last 3 or 4 years aside, taking some, cues from it, I guess, piecing it apart, taking some stuff from it. But we're going to basically wipe the board clean and start over. That's basically what they're doing for the betterment of the company, the betterment of technology, and the betterment of the consumer experience, right? So or safety.
There was another company back in the day that you may have heard of that under the leadership of Steve Jobs, who
Microsoft.
What? That's a joke, right?
Steve Jobs, Microsoft. Go ahead.
Steve Jobs is Apple.
I know.
Ooh, you were worrying me there. I don't know. But, at the same time, he would throw out products that were like almost ready to ship, right?
I've heard of
throw
those.
Them out, right?
Yeah.
And, you have to have a vision of your company and a vision of where you want to go that drives your decision making. That isn't just, hey, the shareholders are going to have a backlash if we scrap this and spend more money, right? So, there's been comparisons here and there between Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Some of them, rightfully so. And I think when it comes to innovation, that's one comparison I would be, supportive of, because I think, Elon has that as well, right? He's a perfectionist. He's wants things to work, and he's innovative. And that's what happens. You throw code out and you start again.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. There's been a lot over time. There's been a lot of comparisons between Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and the two companies that they've both parented or established for years. They've been comparisons to them in how they operate a company, how they grow a company, and how they how the companies are so similar. But to continue with just Elon's response, because I wanted to pause with the reuse.
For a long pause.
No, I know. For the two, well, okay, but before we continue, I know we're pausing even longer here. 2 to 4 months. What's your guesstimation?
3.5.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds fair. 3.5 to 6. So what? We're in the second half of the year now, right? July just started. So could we see something by the end of the year, possibly?
I hope before the snow falls.
Yeah, that would be great. Oh yeah, because we wouldn't be able to up here in the Great White North. Us Canucks up here wouldn't be able to take advantage of it unless the rewrite incorporates that. Who knows, buddy? Who knows?
Well, maybe in the rewrite, it's going to be a way to get the ice off of our cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? It's funny. I was walking by a parking lot today, and I think I sent it to you and Ryan, a picture of a Ford with a backup camera.
You did,
and it had the spray nozzle, and I'm like, if a Ford can do this,
But the thing is, though, like I dove into this a little bit because I did a video on it a while ago, and Elon, I think, doesn't want to have the mechanical parts that are usually associated with that type of a nozzle and spray, right? And he had, I can't remember the details now, but they did patent something, that could be used to keep the cameras clean, but it's not mechanical, right? Okay. Yeah. Because we know Elon's always been all, about less parts. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to finish off Elon's tweet. So after the 2 to 4 months, he then said, it's a question of what functionality is proven safe enough to enable for owners. So it sounds like, obviously, we know Tesla's typical for this, and it's a good thing. They don't just release something and throw it all out there. They give it out in baby steps. So when the rewrite does come, it's not going to be a flip of the switch, and we're all going to be like on this.
Definitely
it's going to
not.
be it's going to be some kind of integration, some kind of merging with the existing software. Now that might be the hardest part, the transitional part. I'm not a software writer, so I don't even know how it's possible. People may be listening to me at home thinking, "What are you talking about, Dax? You can't do that." But I'm just assuming that it's not going to be just a flip of the switch. It's going to be a gradual thing where they're, like he's saying here, it'll be a question of what functionality is proven safe enough to enable. So slowly but surely, they're going to be enabling things, and with checks and balances, just like how the the traffic lights and stop signs right now are, in baby steps and beta and all that, and they're slowly getting better. Like we've seen it with your video for 24.6.3, right? I mean, you see we're able to go through green lights now when a car's in front of us.
Yeah.
So
it's.
Yeah. Oh, but by the way, have you anyone at home that's got the newest version 24.6.3 or even .1? Have you noticed how good Navigate on Autopilot is now? Like, maybe it's just crept up on me in the past couple updates, but I was driving home today from Toronto, and the whole way, like, now maybe because tell me, Paul, when you drive on Navigate on Autopilot, are you on Mad Max or are you on the one right below that one, which I think is called?
I'm on, I can't recall if it's average or medium.
Yeah, average, I think.
I think it's average.
I think,
I'm not on mild.
You're not on what?
I'm not on mild.
No, yeah, and I think, it's average. That's the one below Mad Max, and that's the one I think I'm on too. Because Mad Max, I think it just changed lanes a little bit too much. But that was months ago. So since then, I've been on it, and, it drives incredibly smooth. It knows when to get out of the fast lane. It knows when to go into the fast lane. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like, might I say it's as good as I would expect it to be. Now, people at home may be thinking, no, it isn't. It's a personal choice, but I think it's pretty good.
I think, it's every time there's a major kind of release like this, it absolutely gets better. And the odd time you take a step back to make two steps forward, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, we've seen vast amounts of improvement. And one of the things that I've noticed lately is that it seems to anticipate how real people drive, right? Because what happens, like when you put your signal on, right? At least in North America, I don't know if our European friends or in Asia or Australia have the same issue, but you put your blinker on and then people don't want you to kind of get in front of them to pass the car that's in front of you, so they speed up.
Oh, yeah.
So I've actually felt the car sensing this, right? And making its move, right? And driving like you have to. Like you can't put on your signal and wait 10 seconds because someone's not going to let you in. That's just the way people drive.
Yeah.
Not me, though.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what I've noticed too. And perfect example. A couple times coming home today, I put my signal on, but a car was just going way too fast. So that car went, and it gave me the red lines and everything. And then another car behind it was going not the same speed, but basically if I had left it to do it on its own and had my foot off the accelerator, it would have waited for the second car. But what I found that I did that worked is I just pressed the accelerator a little bit. It sped up and closed the gap between the other car that was in front of me, but enough of a gap with the car coming up to my left in the fast lane that it had enough space and time to get in and make the lane change. So I find if you just tap the accelerator a little bit, that gives you enough of a gap and the car thinks it's safe and it goes in and it does it so smoothly. It's like butter, baby.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, definitely the car is going to have to adapt, and Tesla software is going to have to adapt to this use case, because I don't see people changing their driving behavior anytime soon. It's like I see a blinker, they speed up.
Yeah, no,
it's going to continue to be an issue. So I think you're going to see, in a safe way, as things progress, I think you're going to see the autopilot become a little more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
In driving like people drive.
Yeah, it will. And it's funny. On a side note, we were talking so naturally about the last topic, and then I brought up this software thing. Unbeknownst to me, trust me, it wasn't planned as a segue because Franklin's not here to segue me. But that was actually our next topic. And when I was looking for the next topic and you were talking about the software, I realized, hey, wait, we're already talking about it. So I put the screen up. Yeah. Oh, maybe you knew. Maybe you segued it.
You gave me the topic.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's interesting that, you know what, I think, getting back to what the last thing you said where you talked about it being more aggressive. Yeah, it definitely is a little bit, and it will get more. But I think when all is said and done and we get to level 5 autonomy, I still think full autonomy or full autonomous cars, they will always be this more careful, the more cautious driving style, because it'll never compare to some of these yahoos that drive like maniacs out there, which we know it won't, but it'll always err on the side of caution for safety, which at the end of the day, when it's driving my family around or it's driving my kids around, isn't that what we want? We want it to be safe, right? So
yes, but on that point, right, if you think about a human driver, right, let's take that same use case where you want to pass a car that's in front of you and you're going to go into the left-hand lane, which is the fast lane, or the right hand if you're in UK or some other countries. But so where was I going to go with this? I was going to go somewhere, but I lost it.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah, but it was so profound, and I just lost it.
Okay, I'll give you time. We've got lots of time,
but it'll come back. I was going to be on a roll. So what were we talking about?
No. We got time, buddy. I can wait. Dead air is only dead air in radio. This isn't radio.
Yeah, that's true.
I could play here. Let me pull up this again. I can play tic-tac-toe while you think about it.
Oh, you can? Okay. No. I don't think people out there want to watch my brain work. So actually, my brain's malfunctioning.
When it comes to again, just interrupt me and jump in and tell me. But these guys in it.
No.
Go. Just testing me.
Yeah.
These guys in the chat are talking about getting back to the last thing Franklin was saying. He suspects October, November for the major software version upgrade time, because he's been doing, and I wish he was here to explain it himself, he's been doing this sort of kind of non-official guesstimation of how many people are left to go over to hardware 3 that haven't got the hardware 3 upgrade yet, and he figures it's just under 50,000 fleet wide, which 50,000 is a drop in a bucket. So they're basically on the, I think what he's trying to say is basically on the tail end, and they've got to obviously, and he mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts before, they've got to get those cars upgraded, the majority of them, obviously, other than a handful of stragglers, they've got to get those upgraded before they put out any rewrite, for lack of a better word. So
yeah, I mean, definitely most of them. But I mean, I just had my 2017 Model X upgraded to hardware 3 like a week or so ago. Right? Oh, yeah? So if they have any kind of order that they're doing this in, I mean, that's pretty positive, because I have to believe there is some kind of order.
Oh, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be, right? So if you look at when they went from AP1 to AP2, right? I want to say that was in towards the end of 2016, right? If my memory serves me correct. So our June built 2017 Model X just got the upgrade to hardware 3. I think they're pretty far along.
Oh, I didn't know the X's were upgradable to 3. I thought they could go to 2.5. What was it before? 2.5 or 2?
No, it was 2.
2.
So yes.
Okay.
But there are Model X's out there that have AP1 that were built in 2016, and I had one as a loaner, so I know this for a fact.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it would make sense if you paid for FSD and you had a hardware 2X. why wouldn't you be eligible for the upgrade to the
Exactly.
3? Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's
Because
the easier one, right? That they could do in your driveway with a mobile
No, I had
service.
to go in.
You
There
did?
was talk. There was talk about it being done in the driveway. I don't know if anyone's ever had that done by a Texas Ranger. That's a baseball team, isn't it?
Yeah,
A
it's a very
Tesla Ranger. But the point being that I think they're hitting the tail end now of vehicles that need to be upgraded. So I think that's playing into the timeline, right? And AP1, obviously, we can't. Those people cannot get upgraded, so they're stuck on AP1. It's a different system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Getting back, and maybe this will jog your memory for your point that you're trying to make. Getting back to the update, the 2020.24.6.3.
Yeah.
What I get it that these are engineers, and I get it that there's a lot of subversions and versions and little tweaks and everything. But can they not make these version numbers a little more more user friendly for discussing? It's so long. 2020.24.6. It's just so much of a mouthful. But anyways, yesterday, July 1st, Canada Day, and I don't know if there's any correlation to that because Elon, his heart is with Canada sometimes, right? We all know his connection to Canada.
You're a Canadian citizen.
Yeah. So did he do it as a Canadian birthday present for us here in Canada? Who knows, right? But it came out yesterday in mass to Canadians, and everything it had in the States, it has, and I'll just run down the list: traffic light and stop signs control, where now you don't need to, if there's a lead car in front of you coming up to a green light or coming off a red, if there's a lead car in front of you, you don't have to acknowledge it. You don't have to by pressing the stalk or pressing the accelerator. Driving visualizations improvements. I haven't seen that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen any driving visualization improvements?
I remarked on it in my last video because it's one of those things that it's such it just happens where all of a sudden the visualizations look really good. I'm like, whoa, these visualizations look really good.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there has been an improvement there.
Now the backup camera improvements. That is
the best. I love that.
On top of driving home today with, like I mentioned before, on my beautiful, relaxing drive home, and there was some rush hour traffic. Rush hour traffic, folks, has come back to the Greater Toronto area, even with the pandemic still and the quarantine, and people are still supposed to be staying at home, and it's the summer. There's still rush hour traffic. It was great 2 months ago when there wasn't, but now it is back. So even with the rush hour traffic, I still had a nice, relaxing drive home. And I couldn't help but keep it on the backup camera or the rear view camera screen, and then the two little side marker screen the whole way home. Like I wasn't even looking at anything else other than the road. I was being safe, but it's mesmerizing, is it not? Those two little clearance, or what are they called? Repeater cameras?
Yes. But I'd like to see what they've done is great, right? I'd like to see them go one step further and somehow utilize the front camera to give us, especially when we're parking, like backing up or whatever,
I know what you're going to
say.
say.
360-degree view of the vehicle, right? And that's been around for a long time. I mean, I think Tesla would be the last manufacturer to actually give us that, right?
But Tesla's going to be like Apple. They'll be the last to come out with it.
It'll be perfect.
But it'll be perfect, and Tesla or Apple will turn around and tell you, this is why you need this now. You didn't need it back 3 years ago when Android had it, because we've made it perfect, and this is why you need it. But Tesla can do it now. And I've heard this has been requested by some people to Elon for a while, and he's had different responses to people. So I don't know if it will come. I hope it does, because that'd be cool, and it's something that we really need. But something about the angle of some of the cameras, or how they're situated and angled, we may not get a true 360. But you know how Tesla is with their software; they could manipulate it. They have awesome engineers. They can make it happen somehow. Whether they have to stitch in some blank spots, which there shouldn't be any blank spots, because apparently all the cameras on all the hardware cars now should be able to see 360 degrees, right? For full self-driving. So in essence, there shouldn't be any blind spots, but there may be like down by where the wheels are, there may be blind spots
it could
there.
use like in combination with the ultrasonic sensors, right? I think that.
Oh, true, yeah.
I think that some genius at Tesla can do the math, right, and extrapolate so that you can have a 360-degree view. I'm pretty certain they can do it, and it's probably on their list, but who knows what the priority?
Yeah, true.
Like that is,
true.
Right? Yeah.
And it's one of these requests that, and then, like I said, it's not just one person requested. This has been multiple requests for this. It may be one of those things where it's just like when we're least expecting it, it just pops up, just like this side markers or these repeat cameras. They just showed up, right?
Yep.
Tesla doesn't say, yeah, it's coming, or they don't give us like, it's not like a TV show where they show you coming up next week or coming up in the next edition or the version. So, dash cam, yeah.
Sorry, one question about that. I read somewhere that the camera that's on the inside of the vehicle, that's been lit up now. We can't actually see a recording of it, but I do see a blank box that's labeled front when you are looking at your dash cam footage or Sentry mode footage, actually, better to the point. So I'm wondering, is that camera live now?
Are you talking about the interior camera?
The interior camera.
Okay, well, in this, I was going to get to that, but let's talk about it now.
Oh, sorry.
No. I was only going to get what you're talking about. I never heard of, but I was going to get to that camera in this version.
Yes.
It's called the cabin camera, and it has been turned on. If you want, you can opt in and opt out for it.
Really?
In the U.S., it hasn't been turned on in Canada yet.
Okay.
In the Canadian release, it was nowhere to be found. So obviously, there's probably some privacy issue that they have to get around, or I can't imagine it's Transport Canada department, but maybe it has something to do with Transport Canada, because we're always a few months behind the U.S. So
yeah.
So it is in an opt-in option in the menu in the U.S. version.
Yeah.
And they say it's for safety, and they're not going to tie it to VIN numbers and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see. Would you turn that on if given the choice?
That's a really good question. It depends on what value it brought to me, right? If turning that on meant that I didn't have the nag, I would absolutely do it, right?
If turning it on meant that they could,
let's say it could see if you were watching the road,
attentive,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so there's already other manufacturers that do this, right? They can see if you're watching the road, so
Super
you don't
Cruise.
have a nag. I didn't want to say the word.
The S word. Sorry.
Yes, but yeah, you're right. And so if that's value to me, I don't like the nag. I would do it if there was no nag, but if there's no benefit to me, right? And anyone who's got teenage, kids who are driving like, 16, 18 or whatever, I don't know if I want that camera on. You know what I mean? I don't want to be going through my footage and see something I don't want to see.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. I thought you meant from a safety point of view, but yeah. I get what you're saying. No, you know what? My conspiracy mind, and I'm not a conspiracy freak, don't get me wrong, folks. I'm half joking when I say that. But part of me wonders, like, because remember, down in the States, Tesla, in some states, Tesla is involved with insurance, Tesla insurance, right?
Yes.
How would that tie into Tesla insurance? They say they're not recording it or identified by VINs, but something's got to... there's got to be something there to say that you get into an accident and you get the car written off and you've got Tesla insurance and you have that option checked off. You mean to tell me that they're not going to maybe look at that footage to see if you had your phone in your hand as you were headed right to that overturned semi-truck? Like,
that begs the question, right? If that data is going to be sent to a server at Tesla or if it's only local. and whether you'll be able to control that or opt in, opt out based on where the data goes.
Yeah.
Right. If it's all local, then they won't have access to it unless you give it to them. Right. But if it goes back to their servers, yeah, absolutely, they're going to look at that and say, "Hey, you were texting. Sorry, you're uninsured." Who knows?
Yeah. Hold on one second. I've got trying to fix something here. Are you still there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Well, maybe you can. Okay, I just lost the screen for a second. Okay, and let's just run down just quickly the other improvements. The dash cam improvements. I don't know if you tested that out. Now it puts that little red dot, which never thought of it. That's how they can do it. Once again, a praise and a shout out goes to the Tesla engineers, the software engineers, for thinking up of that. Something so simple, just putting the red dot. The scrubbing still could do some work, I think, because you put your finger and it still jumps around a little bit. But putting that red dot by where it triggers, yeah, it's better.
First time I tried it, the red dot didn't come up. But I think the problem was between the keyboard and the chair is the same.
Oh, yeah, okay. Supercharger improvements. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe that has to do with the S and X, how they've upped the V3 supercharging for those cars to 225 now, I heard. So maybe
really?
That's what that is.
I did not hear that.
Yep.
No,
Pay-per-view supercharging, I don't know what that's about. I should have read the release notes a little bit better. Tune-in radio. Oh, tune-in radio improvements. I'm a big tune-in radio guy. Yeah, they did do a lot of improvements on the interface now. It works a lot better, and it doesn't skip and stuff like that. Or not even skip. Sometimes it just wouldn't play. But now you can skip backwards and skip forward 15 or 30 seconds, I believe. It's just the interface has got a lot more richer and better in my opinion.
Maybe there's hope that they'll make improvements to Spotify, because I think it sucks, and add, let's say, Apple Music or something. Then I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, hopefully. Also, because you did a video a few months ago about your Spotify experience.
I ended up canceling my subscription.
Yeah,
the interface is not good.
Yeah,
in my opinion. I mean, people might like it, but it didn't meet my needs.
Yeah. Walkway door lock improvements. Now this is
great.
Yeah, this is great. You know what? It's great for some people. For me, I don't know if I would use it, but for certain people that would like it, do you put your car in your garage?
Always. It's in my garage.
So it's a perfect example for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because there's been times when I've gone out to the car to get something and I don't have my phone on me, and I'm like, so.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And then you're like, sort of screwed type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
En route battery. Another 50
feet. You're screwed. Yeah, you got to walk 50 feet. En route battery improvements. So that's not. Yeah, that's like it'll warm. Sorry, en route battery warm up is what I should say. If I had read it properly in the first place, en route battery warm up. So basically, just like superchargers, when you're plot it in to a destination to supercharger, it wants to precondition the battery to optimum, and it only did it for superchargers. Now it does it for any kind of level 2 or any kind of third-party supercharger you're going to. Yeah. And new language support, I think Portuguese, if I'm not mistaken. So all our Portuguese friends can now, you don't have to do it just in English. You can do it in Portuguese. And the camera that isn't included.
Yes.
And then there's something, by the way, this article was brought to us by Tasmanian again. There was something they're talking about.
Not all of that was in the release notes, was it?
No. They like the pay-per-use supercharging. I don't remember seeing that.
I did not see that.
The new
battery warm-up, I didn't see that.
Okay, so now they have a lot more wheel configurations too. And this is brought to us by our friends that drive Tesla Canada. This is the first time I'm reading this, folks. So once again, this is how much research I do. So you can actually do your wheel configurations between the 18-inch arrows, whether you put the caps on or not, or without caps, like naked wheels or no naked wheels.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they also do it for the 0G wheels too. So they're giving you more configurations. So and you know what it's for? It's for when your car is in your you're looking at the car in the app, you can actually get a better, true representation of your car in the app.
Well, that's the little things. Eh?
I know it's the little things that. But anyways, it's a good improvement. I'm glad it came out. There's a bunch of videos here and stuff like that, because. Oh, by the way, speaking of, I've just scrolled down here to the backup camera.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see my backup camera. Now, I know if Rob is still in the chat there, Rob is the only other person that I know that had a problem with the backup camera. I know I've asked all you guys, and I probably belabored the problem of the issue with you guys, and you're sick and tired of hearing it. But since my hardware, for everyone else at home that hasn't heard my story, I'm going to bore them with it. Since my hardware 3 upgrade, my backup camera has gone to crap. It's darker, it's grainier, it's fuzzier. The quality is like, I don't want to I was almost going to say a car company, but let's just leave other car companies. It's crap. So I thought it was a software issue. I kept waiting for a new software, a new update. And we've been, since I've got hardware 3, I've probably on 4 or 5 different software updates, and nothing has fixed it. Someone at the Oakville Service Center had said, oh yeah, it's a software thing. Just wait until you get some software updates and it'll fix it on its own. Well, I've waited long enough. Rob waited. Like I said, Rob was the only other person I know that had that issue. He found out, I guess, I forget, he told me, but I forget what service center he went to, but they replaced the whole camera itself, the hardware itself. And he says that was the problem. It wasn't software. It was software, but it wasn't. What it was is the hardware 3 upgrade broke or damaged the camera itself. So thank God Rob had it out of warranty because he's got so much kilometers on his car, but mine is still in warranty, so I'm gonna do a service appointment.
What was the cost on that? Do you know? Did he tell you?
Rob was saying it was, this is in Canadian dollars, if I remember correctly. I thought he said it was $130, $140, including labor, which isn't bad at all. Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like $300, $400, $500.
Charge you like $1,200.
Yeah. I'm saying it's not a bad price, Tesla, but please honor my warranty, because my camera was working totally fine before the hardware 3 upgrade, and now it isn't. So I got to get that fixed. And the reason I know it's even worse now is because, getting back to the new update here, was you're driving down the road and you can have the repeater cameras on the bottom, just like I have in the picture here, where your backup camera on the top. It's like, pardon the pun, night and day difference watching those crystal clear repeater cameras on the bottom and watching my 1995 camera on the top. It looks terrible. So I got to go get it.
3 megapixel.
Oh, buddy, it's like a webcam, like what you're probably watching here. It's terrible. So I got to go get that fixed, and that's my little aside tangents and stuff like that. What I want, any closing thoughts, Paul, on the software update? While you do that?
No, none here. I think we've been pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. Okay, this is not Tesla related. Let me see if I can get rid of this first. Stop screen. This is not Tesla related, but I want to show you. There was some kid in one of the towns. It's not a town. It's a big city here in the Greater Toronto area. That just, I don't know what he was doing. I didn't read the full article. Once again, that's how my extensive research. But someone on their home security or something caught this footage. This kid, I think he was 20 years old. He was driving so fast that he went off the main road. It wasn't a highway, but it was a road onto this residential street. He flipped his car. I'm describing it to people that are just listening to it. And if there's one time you want to actually watch the YouTube video, you got to watch it at this part, at the 1 hour and 14 and a half minute mark. I'm going to play this video for you in a second. The car flipped multiple times. It looked like it must have flipped like 10 times. The amazing part, and I can't even recognize what kind of car it is. The amazing part is this kid walked away, and he's got a lot of fines that he's getting. But yeah, he should do jail time. I know. It should be criminal what he did, because thank the Lord, nobody was on this street like a kid playing in the summer. Yeah. So I've teased this long enough. Let me play the video here. You can see it there, right, Paul?
Yeah, I can see it.
People at home. Okay. So let me play this video. There's no. I don't think there's sound. Even if there is, you're not going to hear the sound. But look in the top corner there. This car takes out a parked car, almost hits the tree, almost takes out that green electrical box, and comes to, like, it must have flipped God knows how many times.
And this is residential. This is not, off of a highway or freeway.
Exactly.
This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, you see tires flying everywhere, coming off rims. Like, yeah, it's amazing how he didn't kill himself, for one, but it just thankfully he didn't kill anyone else. Like I said, he walked away. It's not a Tesla-related story, but it's just an automotive-related story. So I wanted to just describe that to any audio listeners, and show the video for anyone that's watching at home. Do you have now? I don't know. Were you on the podcast since I've been doing this little not episode, but a little segment in the podcast where we talk about our weekly Tesla experience? If you've had any Tesla experience during the week or the last 2 weeks, you were.
I think it was on one show. I think it was on when you started that. Actually.
Okay. My memory's bad, buddy. I don't remember what I had for breakfast. So
that's okay. I didn't remember what I was going to say earlier. So.
Yeah. Do you have something that you want to mention? Because I did, but I sort of already talked about it, so I sort of spoiled it.
I'm still not doing a lot of driving, so I don't really have anything that stands out. Unfortunately, I'm just not doing enough driving.
Yeah. Okay. No, right. Well,
you'll have to carry this part of the show there, Dax.
No, well, I was going to say I had one, but really at the end of the day, I talked about it already, because I was going to talk about my experience with the Model Y, seeing it in person, but I already talked about it. So I sort of was premature on that one. So no, let's keep it clean.
135.
Yeah, pulling up Rob's comment there. It was 135 for the replacement of the backup camera. So if you ever need to replace your backup camera, folks,
that's not scary. That's not
out of pocket. There you've got a precedent already set. He's also gone on to say it's perfect now, and he did get it at the Kitchener Service Center, and it was hardware 3 that screwed his camera up. So there, thanks, Rob. And I'm going to give you guys, I know I should have done this earlier, but I'm going to give you a 10-second window here. Anybody that's watching this at home have any questions that Paul and I can try to answer to our best knowledge, or maybe the people in the chat room can answer before we sign off here. We're at about an hour and 17 minutes, and I promised Paul it would be an hour, and I'm 17 minutes in the negative for Paul. Okay.
That's okay. I planned for 90 because you said 60.
Is that the Elon conversion?
Yes. Elon and Dax conversion.
Yes. I apologize. I try to respect everyone's time as best as I can. We just get carried away. We get to talking, right? It's fun. Yeah. So folks at home are watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, like I've always said in the past, you can just get me on social media, any of the social media things. You can reach out to me. You can even email me at teslatalksquestions@gmail.com if you have any questions, or just ask a question while we're doing it live. We try to do it live. We've been doing it live consistently since we started, probably 12 weeks ago or so. But before we go, Paul, thanks very much for coming on the show once again. Where can people find you and see all your wonderful creations?
Yeah, on just about any social media, it's just Tesla Connect. My main, where I spend most of my time, is youtube.com/Tesla Connect. I like making videos.
You do a good job of it, buddy. If you haven't seen his last video, he did a walkthrough of the latest update that we were just talking about, 2020. .24.6.3. I can't believe I remember that off the top of my head. But yeah, if you heard of what we're talking about, you want to see it in action, go check out Paul's latest video. Latest as of July 1st, right? That's when it
right.
aired. Yeah.
Canada Day.
Yep. And like I said earlier, you can find me on all social media aspects under either. I got so many different names. So just go
This is
Tesla.
where it gets complicated, people.
Yeah, just go to Tesla Talks on Twitter or on YouTube. You're watching it, so I don't even have to tell you. But people that are listening on YouTube, look for me under Dax M. That's DAXM, and you'll find Tesla Talks channel there. Thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next one. All the people at home, there'll be no merch, Franklin. All the people at home watching and that contributed to our little chat session there. Thank you very much. We couldn't have had this show without you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.